is that really the position that these two men occupy on the free market spectrum? Romney as the free market purist and Obama as the communist. Well, let's find out. Let's go over here and look at our spectrum. For the sake of this conversation, we're going to start over here, these being our two poles, communism and anarcho-capitalism. Communism as symbolized by Karl Marx, characterized by government-directed investment, and specifically characterized by, I think we have some things we can put up for you right there, abolition of private property, centralization of credit, state ownership of the means of production, heavy progressive taxation. One end of the spectrum. On the other end, anarcho-capitalism, symbolized by SE's favorite character on this show that you love when we bring up, Ludwig von Mises. Libertarian, early defender of limited government involvement in the economy, characterized by absolute protection of private property, private investment and credit, private ownership of the means of production, limited, no taxation. Now, along this spectrum, there are many other steps. There are things the government does to get involved in the economy. Simple things like tax credits, giving businesses cheaper tax rates for investing in their manufacturing, in their capital investment. The existence of the Federal Reserve. 0% credit for the finance industry. That's helping industry out, and there are some in this room who have suggested that right there is a departure from free markets. Basic research and analysis. The government invests in fact, 57%, according to the CBO, of basic research is funded by the federal government. Liberals will often point out to you that the Internet was a program developed out of the basic research of a Defense Department initiative. Basic research is a step down the ladder. Subsidies. Here's a simple one we hear all about every political season. Ethanol. Subsidies for ethanol. In fact, Mitt Romney, as leader of Bain Capital, was no stranger to subsidies. He developed a company in Indiana called Steel Dynamics that took something like $30+ million in subsidies. The Export-Import Bank, which is basically a private bank for Boeing. It's one that funds cheap credit to companies that want to export products to the world. And how about loan guarantees? This is our green energy investment that produces companies like SOLYNDRA. We should note that the $34 billion green energy investment loan guarantee program was developed under President George W. Bush. So taking into account the spectrum, and by the way, there are many more steps along the way, bailouts, nationalizations, there's some gaps
collectivism.
Here. There are many more steps along the spectrum. So here's the question. Where do these two guys fit? Where are their economic visions? Well, President Barack Obama, we know, has embraced everything along the way from tax credit, subsidies, basic research, government loan programs like SOLYNDRA, and I think based upon the speech we heard last week, we could put President Barack Obama somewhere down here. Again, there's some room here, a lot of room.
Isn't that to
More
scale?
room than we're seeing there, for sure. We're saying
Not to scale.
Right.
Yeah. Imagine a broad swath of space.
However, we know this, that he's somewhere, I would say, further down the spectrum than just government investment in green energy initiatives. And I think the speech last week recognized that. But the real question is this. Where does Mitt Romney stand? Is he really this scion of free markets? Does he belong somewhere down here? Well, let's find out. Well, you know, he's certainly not proposed limiting the tax code, simplifying it, getting rid of tax credits. He's taken advantage of subsidies. He's said that he thinks the government has a role in basic research. In fact, he said he thinks the government has a role in investing in energy. I think, let's hear it from his own mouth.
Hitler during the Second World War, I guess, because he was concerned about losing his oil, liquefied coal. That technology is still there. I'm told the Chinese are building 5 liquefied coal plants now. They'll be learning. They're not economic yet, but at about $40 or $50 a barrel equivalent, they are economic. And so why don't we develop those sources? I think government has a role to help do that, by the way.
That's Mitt Romney talking about the government's role in the energy industry. And it's not just about green energy investment. There are things like nuclear subsidies. The question then is, and I think Romney's surrogate, Ken Cuccinelli, said this specifically regarding SOLYNDRA. He wouldn't do away with it. He wants to make it smaller, smarter, more transparent. So Mitt Romney honestly belongs somewhere in here. And what we're talking about, guys, is a difference in degrees, maybe direction, which way they'd pull it.